Hey, everybody. You're about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Shin Godzilla. Enjoy watching and subscribe, friends. The police inspect a boat abandoned in the middle of the sea and find no one in it. A sudden powerful explosion collapses an underground tunnel. The Japanese government called an emergency meeting to get to the bottom of the disaster. They see a powerful release of vapor from the water and can't figure out what it is. The police evaluate people, but some people are reveling in what is happening. They're taking pictures and videos and posting everything online. Authorities believe it's either an underwater earthquake or a submarine accident, but experts are sure that's impossible. Ministers believe it could have been a huge living creature, but how did it survive in 100-degree temperatures? The government calls in top scientists to solve the mystery of the explosion. At the meeting, they turn on the TV and see a huge tail sticking out of the water. The government realizes that there is a giant unidentified creature in front of them. Most of the ministers agree that the creature must be destroyed. Meanwhile, the monster reaches the shore. The monster destroys the bridge and enters the city by a river. It destroys everything in its path and people flee. Deputy Secretary General Yaguchi turns to Hiromi from the Ministry of Environment for help. The woman watches the video, realizes that the monster has huge paws and will soon make landfall. The ministers think this is impossible, but they turn out to be wrong. The monster climbs out of the water and enters a major Japanese city. It appears to have no arms, and huge gills can be seen on its neck. The creature is so huge that every step it takes destroys roads and buildings. Cars fly like toys and high-rise buildings fall like matchboxes. The monster moves at a decent speed, 13 kilometers per hour. Rescuers are trying to help the victims as the giant destroys the city. The government calls in military helicopters to attack, and they see that the monster has changed. It now stands confidently on its powerful hind legs, and small, apparently weak legs can be seen on its chest. At the last moment, the Prime Minister calls off the attack as there are many civilians in the area. For some reason, the creature returns to the water. The Prime Minister declares a national emergency as the creature could return at any moment. Yaguchi assembles a team to fight the monster from cool experts in different fields. The scientists get a sample of fluid from the monster's body and send it off for study. The team doesn't understand where the monster draws its energy to live from. Hiromi believes that the temperature at the center of the 100-degree explosion was due to a thermonuclear reaction in the monster's body. The woman turned out to be right, as a radioactive trace is found even a few kilometers from the creature's path. A U.S. government spokesman is pressing the Japanese to find a man named Goro Maki, who predicted the appearance of a huge radioactive creature in the Sea of Japan several years ago. It is his boat that we saw at the beginning of the movie. Before he disappeared, the man left documents about his research on the monster. Goro also wrote a note, "I've done all I can. You do the rest." He named the creature Godzilla, which means the rebirth of an ancient evil god. The huge underwater reptile began to mutate rapidly after coming into contact with a nuclear waste dump and became a monster. The U.S. government is also, for some reason, very interested in the monster. Scientists realize that Godzilla has returned to the sea to cool off, as the radiation has severely overheated his body. When the public learns the truth, people call him God and demand that he be kept alive. A couple days later, Godzilla appears in Sagami Bay. The monster has mutated again, becoming twice as big and much more powerful. To avoid further casualties, the Prime Minister orders the Titan's destruction. The military attacks, but no weapon can penetrate Godzilla's thick skin. Not a scratch on him. Neither tanks nor artillery can do the monster any visible harm. The American Air Force drops bombs, but all in vain. When the Titan crosses Tokyo's borders, the Prime Minister orders an evacuation. During the night, the threat from the monster forces the Prime Minister and his ministers to evaluate. From a rooftop, they get their first up-close look at Godzilla. U.S. bombers drop their most powerful bombs and the monster is wounded for the first time. The Titan screams in pain and begins to glow with a strange purple light. It exhales fire from its mouth and then spews atomic breath and destroys several neighborhoods at once. The atomic breath beam goes through skyscrapers like a knife through butter and destroys half the city. The Titan has become incredibly powerful. The planes keep dropping bombs, but the monster somehow determines their position, releases atomic beams from its back, and incinerates all the shells. People stare in shock at the invulnerable creature. After a while, Godzilla freezes in the center of Tokyo, and people realize that he is weakened and asleep. The attack kills the Prime Minister and most of the ministers. The next attack will likely wipe out all of Japan. Yaguchi's team suggests freezing the monster from the inside by injecting refrigerant into its bloodstream. But this takes time and the Titan may wake up. The Americans suggest destroying the Titan with a thermonuclear bomb, but that would destroy all of Tokyo. To freeze it in a short time, you need to produce huge amounts of cooling gas. According to scientists' calculations, Godzilla will recover its atomic charge in 2 weeks and start destroying again. The US warns that as soon as the monster wakes up, they will fire a nuclear missile at it to save the world. A journalist gathers information for Yaguchi about Goro Maki. The scientist's wife was killed by radiation. Goro devoted his life to radiation research and discovered Godzilla mutated due to radioactive debris dumped into the sea. He warned the authorities of the Titan's rebellion, but no one listened to him. It is unknown where the scientist disappeared to, leaving his boat in the open sea. Goro believed that the only way to defeat Godzilla was to freeze his blood from the inside out. Yaguchi's team realizes that the Titan can reproduce without a partner, which means that if it is not exterminated, it will create many new Titans and they will destroy humanity. Other countries help Japan with the production of the cooling gas, and now comes X-Day. 2 explosive trains crash into the Titan's legs and wake him up. The military releases drones with bombs, but Godzilla destroys them with atomic beams. After numerous drone attacks, the monster finally weakens. The military collapses skyscrapers and rolls the Titan to the ground. The machines then begin pumping cooling gas into Godzilla's jaws. However, the monster gathers the rest of its strength, rises up, and destroys people's machinery with an atomic beam. The military sends many trains of explosives at Godzilla, and he falls. The men inject all the gas they need, but that doesn't help either. Fortunately, the Titan's body soon freezes completely. Godzilla is finally defeated, and Tokyo eventually recovers. All seems to be well, but at the very end we see new mini Godzillas spawn from the Titan's tail. Thanks for watching, and see you all again.